Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
I am well.
You look great. I haven't seen you for like. I've got a glass of wine here. I must be 10 years.
A glass of water.
Fantastic.
Can you change it into wine? I think that's one of the things you do. Thank you.
And where are you in the world?
I am in Washington Heights, New York. That's North New York City, where I've been for the last year without moving.
You have quite a. Is that what color is that wall behind you? Is it kind of sky blue?
It's more of a blue grayish. I wouldn't say this is a perfect color representation on this. What color is that behind you? I think it's kind of a black. It's a
Well,
green screen, isn't it?
it's a. The thing is, a virtual background to cover the psychotic mess that is behind me. I mean, I can
That's
show it if you'd like to see it. I'll show it to you, but
I had that because my room is often messy.
it just kind of takes away that the reality of my life and it replaces it with a sort of more improved fantasy version. But there are issues around my hair.
Yeah, well, I don't have a lot of those issues myself. So,
I recently dyed it blonde as a sort of lockdown. We're in hard lockdown here. I don't know about what you're like there, but
well, it hasn't been really locked down in a while. We had that really terrible part in March where we
yeah.
were we were number one. Yay! We're still number one as a country for being inept, but New York has not been especially terrible. Although, the numbers keep going up. It's nuts. The whole thing is crazy. I've had one vaccination now.
Oh wow, great.
So I'm partly healed. I'm partly immune or whatever.
And are there any gigs happening or any concerts happening?
There's some virtual things here and there. You get kind of burnt on those. But anyway, I shouldn't say that because that's
You're selling next week's gig hard, really hard. By
yes, one. That is the one. If you're gonna go to
this is the one.
no, I
Have you done many with other countries like virtually?
I have, you know what? I work with this guy in Spain and I do some virtual stuff from my house, but you know what? It's exactly the same as everything else because I don't move. So, in that respect, it's kind of strange. But I only do it by myself. So I played once with some people, but that's been it. And I have done none of this virtual, like long distance stuff. So this is really new for me and exciting.
Well, we've been doing it all year really, and
Cool.
the furthest away person was in London, and it's kind of worked fine. It's it's kind of interesting thing, and I think it's we even seem to manage to play grooves and stuff, and I don't totally understand why it works, but it seems to work.
Well, I'm game, but I have no idea how it will work. The only things I've done like this, I did get together in the beginning with some people and do a bunch of different things that were related to this idea of trying to get rid of the lag. And we were using some programs that try and do that. One of them is called Jamulus.
Yeah,
It sounds like your idea is to play with the lag and see what you're playing with and just experience it from where you are and take it from there.
it's embracing a kind of a multiple universe, parallel universe concept, and obviously,
Sound great to me, regardless of what you. It's like,
well, to be sort of to really fight to pin down what's going on, and we are thinking of trying this. We should record the sound at every person's
right,
location,
and
and
then
then
compare
compare them.
and see which one sounds the best.
Well, obviously the one that what my one sounds the best because I'm the person sending it into the world.
Right.
So, and therefore, I'm kind of making sense of the sound that's coming to me on behalf of the audience as the
Nice.
drummer, you know. I'm
Right.
making sense of it. I'm like the person that kind of gathers it together and tries to make it sense because I know that what I'm hearing is what the audience is hearing.
Right.
Um, and I'm not averse to control elements of, I have.
Right. So basically, it's kind of the motto of this is sort of to the other musicians, fuck you.
I think fuck you's a bit strong. I think it's like,
I love it. Come on.
no, it's like we're in this together, but I'm slightly more in it together than you are.
Love. It's meant with love. It's a
Yeah,
loving kind of
a
fuck
loving
you.
fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, thank you for including me. I'm excited.
well, it's one of the strange things about this weird year is that suddenly things like this kind of become possible. And like, I mean, obviously it would be nice to fly you to Edinburgh and get you to do gig, but it probably wouldn't. It would be difficult to do that without funding and extra money and stuff like that. But we can invite you this way and touch base,
Awesome. It's great to see you.
And the thing is, what I wanted to do, I've got a couple of questions for you. The first thing I wanted to say to you is, I think I said this to you on Facebook, but I think your jazz harmony book is absolutely wonderful, and I've actually bought it 3 times now because because I keep giving it to people.
That's what I'm counting. I'm actually counting on rather than trying to have a lot of people buy the book. I'm just trying to have relatively few people buy the book many, many times.
Well,
Sure.
if you're tracking your sales internationally, I'm responsible for a surge of 3 sales. It's called.
Really about is sales and marketing. I really have on how I have no idea how any of that stuff goes, but it keeps going. That book is nice. It was fun. They were all fun to write, but that was the one that seems to be the most useful to people. So,
Well, I think
yeah.
You made it really. I mean, I call myself a harmony tourist because as a drummer, I don't use harmony on a day-to-day basis. I only use it when I'm composing. So I think us harmony tourists, I think we compose different music to you harmony experts.
Well, I think you're supposed to. I think that's good. It's a good thing.
But having someone like yourself really map it out like that is so useful, and I love the way you sort of built layers upon layers of complexity. So,
It's a living.
is it in the New York Times bestseller list? Has it kind of sold that many?
I don't know. I don't follow it that closely. No, it's the thing is for me because I teach at a school here and at Queens College, and that's been a great thing in this world of no gigs. It was nice to have a teaching gig. I mean, I like teaching anyway, so that's a nice thing. But I wrote it so I would have something to teach from,
So you could make all your students buy your book.
Yeah, I do. There's so much jazz pedagogy and there's so much stuff, and so many people get like these iReal apps, and so they learn a chord progression, and it's like, yeah, but that's really not how it works. It's not just like having a lead sheet. You want to be able to get under the hood and know how those harmonic decisions get made.
I studied with a guy in Montreal when I first learned harmony properly, and he said after the first lesson, you guys all know normal harmony. I'm going to teach you George Russell's Lydian chromatic concept, and that's what I didn't know any harmony at that point, and that's what I learned first, which was a bit kind of fucked up, but
yeah, well, you gotta learn that Lydian chromatic scale. That's the key to everything.
Now your country has become incredibly boring. It used to be quite exciting, but for days now there's been virtually nothing.
Oh, for all days? You mean since there hasn't been an insurrection lately?
Yeah,
and all
there's almost nothing happening now. It's kind of, I mean, we thought we wanted calm, but it's getting a bit dull. No, I'm just kidding. It must be
Well,
crazy
hopefully.
times to live through.
Well, it's just I don't know. It's a very weird thing where, there's no sense of authoritative source. Like there are a lot of people for whom there's no sort of there's no factual, like you would say something in an argument and say you mentioned something that was in the New York Times and people say, oh, New York Times, as if like, the garbage
It's like
that
the
they
National
heard.
Enquirer.
Yeah, the something they heard on YouTube has exactly the same provenance as everything else,
Yes.
and it's like it's a weird time because I don't know where obviously there's a lot of energy around a whole lot of incredibly goofy stuff, and I don't know where that goes. Trump isn't on Twitter anymore and he's not president anymore, and those are two, I think, pretty nice things, especially the latter. But where does 70 some million people who are like convinced that everything is bullshit with no basis for that, where does their kind of like lunacy and also like violence, where does all that go? I don't know. We have a situation here. It's a little bit, it's pretty, the UK is pretty crazy too with what's been going on politically there. We have a situation where you have basically one party that's sort of in favor of democratic process and another party that's just engaged in a pure power grab that doesn't care about anything. And it's what's surprising is that people can just double down on that and be successful politically. Like the fact that, Trump was never popular, but he was never incredibly unpopular either, which is really shocking. The fact that it wasn't a close election. I mean, he lost clearly, but it was a lot closer than one would expect.
Especially after the COVID and the injecting bleach and all that kind of madness.
We're going to be at 500,000 dead soon. Like we are far and away the country that has bungled this more than anyone else.
I think we're the UK's right hard up second behind you.
Yeah. Well, and you've been really innovative with new strains of the virus and all that.
Yeah, we like to,
you're mixing it up.
We like to put our spin on stuff. So, I've got one final question, because I've done a series of these interviews, David, and I think people are interested to know how musicians got into jazz, playing jazz when they were young, and I'd be interested to know how did you get into playing jazz?
Well, I was, I'm the weird case of somebody who kind of grew up in jazz. So it was the first music that I think I was pretty much aware of. My dad was a piano player. He was a lawyer mostly, but he was an amateur pianist. And he was really like a huge Oscar Peterson fan.
Okay.
The thing I heard first. So, I always had this split because I noticed that people that were my age were not mostly listening to that. So, I would hear about other stuff from my sister and from my, some friends outside. But I got into jazz really early on. And so for me, like I've had a lot of friends who have sort of reclaimed their rock or pop or whatever, their roots of their music that they liked that was not jazz. And so they've been, interested in kind of, whatever, fusion or other kind of music that really has something to do with where they come from. But for me, probably more, as much as anything, the music that I come from is jazz. The last solo record I did, which I released during this whole mess, last June, was a record called, David Berkman plays plays music by Pete Seeger and John Coltrane. So, I mean, I grew up around a lot of lefty folk stuff too.
It's interesting that your dad was a lawyer and an amateur pianist. My dad was a sexologist and an amateur pianist.
I did that.
I think that I have this kind of theory that people that achieve some kind of eminence in the professions quite often have children that become they're quite often this sort of frustrated jazz musicians that became successful in their career, and then their kids kind of finish the job of becoming the jazz musician that their father or mother wanted to be. Not necessarily in a way, not necessarily and it doesn't always end in happiness for everyone involved, but I think I think there is I just wondered if you felt that was part
It's a trap. that we both.
What sort of?
But you always have your medicine to fall back on if things really got nasty.
Yeah, I do. You know, I kind of I thought maybe if the COVID really hit hard that they would be shouting for retired overweight
Yeah.
doctors to come back.
You should at least be, sticking people in the arm or something.
Yeah, I could be doing that, but I think people need improvised music streamed live during the pandemic as much as they need a vaccine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. Yeah, vaccine is not so significant. Improvised music live stream, that's far more
It's
time.
all it's all doing its own bit in the universe, trying to put things in right. But we're sort of prepared for whatever happens now, so we can. I guess they. I guess there could be the next level is where the internet goes down and there's no electricity, and then
Right.
we're kind of screwed. I don't think we can. We'll be playing just into the, just like acoustically into the universe and seeing if that has any. But
Right. Or
well,
maybe on sort of Mad Max style, kind of apocalyptic,
well then we should have a big truck with like a
yeah,
massive PA on it and just drive around playing improvised jazz to people
yes,
whether or not they like it.
right. That's good. That serves them right.
Well, there
You're-
was that. There's that film Mad Max Thunder Road. I don't know if you've seen that one,
I saw, this is going to sound really dated. I saw some of it on a plane.
but you fell asleep, did you? After the meal.
Yeah, but Mad
There is a
Max.
scene. There is a scene in Mad Max Thunder Road where there's this massive truck and there's a guy on it playing electric guitar with a massive PA, and I think he's shooting fire out the end of his guitar because
Right.
the heavy rock wasn't enough. He had like sort of a mohawk and he was
Right.
topless with oil, but he was shooting fire out of his guitar and playing. And I just think, well,
Would be a good look for you.
I
Topless, oil,
yeah,
shooting fire.
shooting a fire. Yeah, well, I'll work on it for Friday.
Yeah, so let's see if you can bring some of that out.
It's my birthday on Friday too, so
Oh, how old will you be?
54.
Oh, you're a child.
Oh really?
I'm 62.
Okay. So like,
54. Oh God, the
So-
world was my oyster.
so if you like kissed a human my age, you'd feel it was just inappropriate.
Oh, it is. Yeah. It would. Aside from that, kissing you would not be inappropriate, but
The age difference would be an issue.
the age thing would slow me down.
Yeah.